This first Christmas tale is called The Polar Express. On Christmas Eve, many years ago, I lay quietly in my bed. I did not rustle the sheets. I breathed slowly and silently. I was listening for the sound. A sound a friend had told me I'd never hear. The ringing bells of Santa's sleigh. There is no Santa, my friend had insisted, but I knew he was wrong. Late that night, I did hear sounds, though not of ringing bells. From outside came the sounds of hissing steam and squeaking metal. I looked through my window and saw a train standing perfectly still in front of my house. A choo-choo! Choo-choo! It was wrapped in upon steam. Snowflakes fell lightly around it. A conductor stood at the open door of one of the cars. He took a large pocket watch from his vest, then looked up at my window. I put on my slippers and robe and tiptoed down the stairs outside of the door. All aboard! The conductor cried out. I ran up to him. Well, he said, are you coming? Where? I asked. Why, to the North Pole, of course, was his answer. This is the Polar Express. I took his outstretched hand and he pulled me aboard. All aboard, choo-choo! The train was filled with other children, all in their pajamas and nightgowns. We sung Christmas carols and ate candy with centers as white as snow. We drank hot cocoa, so yummy, as thick and rich and melted chocolate bars. Outside, the lights of the town and the villages flickered in the distance as the Polar Express raced northward. Maybe they'll go see Santa. So exciting. There were no more lights to be seen. We traveled through cold, dark forests. Ooh, so scary. Berlin wolves roamed and white-tailed rabbits hid from our train as it thundered through the quiet wilderness. We climbed mountains so high, it seemed as if we would scrape the moon. But the Polar Express never slowed down. Faster and faster and faster, we ran along, rolling over peaks and valleys like a car on a roller coaster. The mountains turned into hills. The hills turned into snow-covered plains. We crossed a barren desert of ice. The great polar ice cap. Lights appeared in the distance. They looked like the lights of a strange ocean liner sailing on a frozen sea. North Pole, It was so huge, standing alone at the top of the world, filled with factories where every Christmas toy was made. At first, we saw no elves. They're all gathering at the center of the city, the conductor told us. That is where Santa will give the first gift of Christmas. Who receives the first gift? We all asked. The conductor answered, he will choose one of you. Maybe Gremmy will get lucky, as Santa will choose Gremmy for the first Christmas present. Look, shouted out the children. The elves! Outside, we saw 100 of elves. As our train drew closer to the center of the North Pole, we slowed to a crawl. So crowded were the streets with Santa's helpers. When the Polar Express could not go farther, we stopped, and the conductor led us outside. There's so many elves, Goblins. There's so many. They're covering the streets. We pressed through the crowd to the edge of a large open circle. In front of us stood Santa's sleigh. Oh, the reindeer were excited. They pranced and paced, ringing the silver sleigh bells that hung from their harnesses. It was magical. It was so magical, it was nothing we've ever heard before. Across the circle, the elves moved apart and Santa Claus appeared. The elves cheered wildly. He marched over to us, pointing to me, and said, "Let's have this fellow here." He climbed onto his sleigh. The conductor helped me onto the sleigh. I sat on Santa's knee and he asked, "Now, what will you like for Christmas?" What would you like for Christmas, Goblins? I knew that I could have any gift I can imagine. But the thing I wanted most for Christmas was not inside of Santa's giant bag. What I wanted more than anything was a silver bell from Santa's sleigh. When I asked, Santa smiled. Then he hugged me and told the elf to cut a bell from the reindeer's harness. The elf tossed it up to Santa. He stood holding the bell high above him and called out, "The first gift of Christmas." Clock struck midnight as the elves poured their approval. Santa handed the bell to me, and I put it in my bathrobe pocket. The conductor helped me down from the sleigh. Santa shouted out to the reindeer, and he cracked his whip. His team charged forward and climbed into the air. Santa circled once above us, then disappeared into the cold, dark polar sky. He's off to go give all of the good children their gifts for Christmas. As soon as we were back inside the Polar Express, the other children asked to see the bell. I reached inside my pocket, but only thing I felt was a hole. Oh no, his bell! I had lost the silver bell from Santa Claus's sleigh. Let's hurry outside and look for it, one of the children said. But the train gave a sudden lurch and started to move. We were on our way home. It broke my heart to lose the bell. When the train reached my house, I sadly left the other children. I stood at my doorway and waved goodbye. Bye-bye. The conductor said something from the moving train, but I couldn't hear him. What? I yelled. He cupped his hands around his mouth and said, Merry Christmas! The Polar Express let out a loud blast from its whistle and sped away. On Christmas morning, my little sister Sarah and I opened our presents. When it looked as if everything was unwrapped, Sarah found one last small box behind the tree. It had my name on it. Inside was the silver bell. There was a note. Found this on the seat of my sleigh. Fix that hole in your pocket. Signed, Mr. C. Yay, Mr. Claus remembered. And he gave him the bell that he dropped. I shook the bell. It made the most beautiful sound my sister and I have ever heard. But my mother said, Oh, that's too bad. Yes, said my father. It's broken. When I'd shaken the bell, my parents had not heard the sound. Do you think those who believe in Christmas can only hear the sound of the bell? At one time, most of my friends could hear the bell, but years passed, it felt silent for all of them. Even Sarah found one Christmas that she could no longer hear the sweet sound. Though I've grown old, the bell still rings for me, as it does for all who truly believe. Yeah! The end! That was the Polar Express. Gremmy bet she could hear the sound. Gremmy still believes in Santa and the spirit of Christmas. Gremmy is happy that you can appreciate it now, and hopefully you can appreciate the spirit of Christmas too, because Christmas is a wonderful feeling that you can have inside of your hearts. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to you. Merry Christmas to all. And to all, good night.